Today, I'm going to talk about Vedana, feelings. The Buddha said in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, whenever we feel, then we have to be mindful of it. Whatever feelings occurred, we should observe it repeatedly at the moment of its occurring. So feelings, in Pali it is called Vedana. Vedana, feelings or sensations or experience. And there are three types of feelings. Dukkha Vedana, painful, unpleasant, disagreeable feelings or sensations. Sukha Vedana, pleasant, agreeable sensations. And Adukkha Sukha Vedana or Upekha Vedana, neither unpleasant nor pleasant sensation or neutral sensations. There are three types of sensations. And the first one, dukkha Vedana, unpleasant, disagreeable feelings or sensations. And the second one, Sukha Vedana, pleasant or agreeable sensations. These two feelings are easy to experience, easy to know. The third one, Upekha Vedana, neutral feeling, is not very clear. It is subtle. So in our life, in our everyday life, we clearly feel pleasant or unpleasant sensations. But when there is no such predominant pleasant and unpleasant sensations, at that time we are having neutral feeling, neither pleasant nor unpleasant sensations. So these feelings, Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, and Upekha Vedana, we are experiencing every second, every moment in our life. And regarding Dukkha Vedana, unpleasant or disagreeable sensations, it can be divided again into two: bodily unpleasant sensations and mental unpleasant sensations. So unpleasant sensations occur in relation to the five sensual pleasures. When we have a desire to have pleasurable things, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, good visible objects. When we want to have a good visible objects, good sounds, sweet sounds, smells, tastes, and bodily contacts. And if we did not get that, dukkha vedana arises. And when we do not have, when we are not fulfilled with these sensual pleasures, and when we are encountering dangers, then we will have these unpleasant sensations. Dukkha vedana will arise. And when we are thinking about these sensual pleasures, that we did not get, then again in mind also we feel very painful. So dukkha vedana, unpleasant sensations, arises due to the unfulfillment of sensual desires, the sensual pleasures, which we want to get. And sometimes we are thinking about our past, how miserable our life in the past. And when we think about it again and again, we become very sad. We become very mentally, we are not healthy. When we are thinking about our past misery, sometimes the tear comes out. So mentally, we are suffered. Therefore, dukkha vedana, there are two types: the physical, bodily unpleasant feelings and mentally unpleasant feeling. Suffering is associated with these sensual objects. When they are not fulfilled, we suffer. In our life, we are having this type of mental and physical unpleasant feelings every moment, every second. And we try to escape from these mental sufferings, bodily sufferings. We try to escape. But when we come to the practice, what should we do when we encounter this type of unpleasant feelings, unpleasant sensations? According to Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we should know those dukkha vedana, unpleasant sensations, both bodily and mental unpleasant sensations, we should know about it. We should know it clearly. Therefore, in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said, whenever we experience unpleasant sensations, we should observe it again and again. So when we do Vipassana meditation, Vipassana meditators experience unpleasant sensations at the beginning of practice. Different types of unpleasant sensations we experience in the practice. When we gain some concentration, we start to experience dukkha vedana, unpleasant sensations. We start to experience the various types of pains. We feel tired, we feel very fatigued, exhausted, aching, piercing, stabbing, and sometimes burning the whole. Sometimes we may feel the whole body is burning. And sometimes we may feel coldness, very cold, and that is also very painful. So different types of painful sensations we experience when we gain some concentration. Because we do not like pain, because we do not like these painful sensations, what we do, we try to escape from those painful sensations. Therefore, we try to change our postures. We try to change our postures. Sometimes as soon as we experience the painful sensations, immediately we move our body, we move our legs. And after changing the posture, we may experience the painful sensations again and again. Then sometimes mentally also we suffered. Oh, I am having this pain again and again. I am having this pain for so long time, again and again. So whenever we experience these painful sensations, we suffered physically and mentally. We suffered physically and mentally. We do not want this pain, so sometimes we become angry. We become angry. And sometimes we are longing for the pleasant feeling. We are craving for the pleasant feelings instead of noting the presently arising that painful sensation. But the Buddha said, whenever you experience this type of painful sensations, you should know it clearly. You should observe it clearly. Therefore, in the practice, when we experience these painful sensations, we should focus our mind on that object of painful sensation, and we should apply effort, noting it as pain, 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 continuously, repeatedly. But sometimes the pain does not disappear, it increases. It increases, but we still continue to note it as a pain, 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 continuously, again and again. In noting the painful sensations, we should have courage and patience. We should have patience. If we are not patient, we cannot note these painful sensations. We just want to change our posture to let it go, these painful sensations. Therefore, courage and patience is very essential in noting painful sensations. With courage and effort, with patience, if we continue noting this pain as a pain, we come to see the true nature of pain. We come to know the pain as it is. We also come to see the changes while noting the pain. Sometimes the pain decreases when we keep on noting. Sometimes it increases, extremely painful. Sometimes it is just a constant pain, not increasing and not decreasing. And we again just need to keep on noting this pain as a pain, 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 focusing it. And sometimes when it becomes very, very painful, we need to observe it closely, paying full attention on that pain. But it becomes extremely painful, very unbearable. Therefore, sometimes we just stay away from the pain. Stay away means we are looking, we are observing this pain from a distance, not going closer to it. Observing it from the distance, but our attention is still on that pain. And again, we go closer to the pain, and sometimes we stay away, observe it from a distance. By observing that pain, we may see that later the pain decreases and disappears. But sometimes it may not decrease or disappears. The pain increases again and again continuously, and we cannot bear it anymore. In that situation, sometimes we just need to leave it. We do not pay attention to that pain anymore, and we try to observe the other objects, like a main object, rising and falling movement of the abdomen. But when we focus on the rising and falling movement of the abdomen, we need to put more effort and more focus on it, because the pain is extremely painful, very predominant. Therefore, when we ignore the pain and observe the main object, rising and falling movement of the abdomen, we need to apply more effort and we need to aim it properly. But sometimes the mind automatically goes back to the pain. It reaches to that pain, and if the mind is already in the pain, then we again note it. Sometimes paying very close attention to it, and sometimes from a distance. So keeping on noting the pain that way for a few times. But still the pain is very, very painful and very unbearable, cannot stand with that pain anymore. At that time, we may need to change our posture. So when we want to change our posture, first we should make a mental leveling. First, we should note the intention to change. And after noting that intention, slowly we move our legs and body, and every movement should be observed very carefully, very mindfully. Although we are moving our posture, our body, but mindfulness should be continuous. We should not lose the mindfulness. Therefore, when we change the body, we do it mindfully, but in 1 hour sitting, do not try to change the postures more than 2 times. At the beginning, we try to stay with that pain. And while noting that extremely painful sensations, if we have some fear in our mind that we might have some diseases, we might have some physical injury because of enduring that pain, if we have that kind of fear arising in our mind, then we have to note that fear too, focusing on that mind. Note it as fear, 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 and then again go to note the painful, physical painful sensations. Later, when we just keep on noting these painful sensations again and again, we develop concentration, and sometimes we see this pain very big, very clear. With the power of concentration, sometimes we see the pain very big, very, very painful. Like we are using microscope to see the things. But just keep on noting that pain with patience. We build concentration, we build a mental strength. The noting mind becomes strong. And later on, we come to see the natures of the pain, the true natures of the pain. We come to discern how pain arises and disappears. Because our mind, noting mind, now have a strength, when we keep on noting that extremely painful sensations, now the mind is not disturbed because of these extremely painful sensations. Means now the mind has a strength to deal with that pain. The mind is not disturbed by it. At that stage, noting or observing this extremely painful sensation becomes very interesting, very good. It is extremely painful because the mind is not disturbed by it anymore due to the strength in the mental strength. We are having delight in noting the pain. It's very good. The taste of that pain is very good. At the beginning, it was so painful. It was so painful. We just want to escape from it, run away from that. But when we got mental strength, this painful sensation becomes very interesting, very good. We feel very pleasant. Although it is unpleasant sensations, we feel very pleasant. And we even can challenge the pain. Now we are not afraid of any pain. And sometimes when we keep on noting that pain again and again, and later it disappeared, we can now overcome that pain. The pain disappeared at all, and it does not arise again. And now we do not have that painful sensations. We are just observing the rising and falling movement of the abdomen. Sometimes we may feel bored. We may feel, oh, something is missing. Something is missing. We may feel bored. And sometimes we may be longing for the pain. When I have that painful sensations, my practice was so good. My noting was so good. But now my mindfulness is not good yet. My noting is not good. It is so boring. Therefore, at the beginning of the practice, it is not easy. Of course, it is not easy to endure that painful sensations. But having courage and patience, if we keep on observing that painful sensations continuously, we can overcome it. We can overcome it. At the beginning of the practice, whenever we have these painful sensations, we have a desire for happiness. We have a desire for pleasant sensations. We are craving for pleasant sensations. Craving, dependent on feelings, craving arises. But later on, when we keep on noting these painful sensations continuously, and we come to see its nature, its true natures. It means dependent on feelings or sensations, wisdom or knowledge arises. Before Vedanā Paccaya Tanha, dependent on feelings, craving or attachment arises. Now Vedanā Paccaya Paññā, dependent on feelings, paññā, wisdom or knowledge arises. Therefore, we should try our best to observe these painful sensations whenever we experience in the practice. Vipassana meditators, at the beginning of the practice, surely they will experience these painful sensations. They will meet this pain, dukkha vedana. There are few people who do not experience much pain in the practice. Their practice is quite smooth. They do not experience much practice. But most of the Vipassana meditators, at the beginning of the practice, they experience pain. Very, very painful sensations. Very difficult situation at the beginning of the practice. But with the patience, if we continuously noting again and again and again, we can overcome that painful sensations. Because we gain mental strength also. Because of the pain, our mind will not be disturbed. Our mind will not be suffered anymore. That is the benefit we gain from noting the painful sensations. Because there are two types of suffering, two types of painful sensations, bodily and mental painful sensations. Sometimes we cannot escape from the bodily suffering. We cannot escape from the bodily suffering. In our life, we may have different types of diseases. We may be suffered different types of diseases. We cannot escape. We may not escape, but we can escape from the mental suffering. Therefore, the Buddha, he instructed the monks who are ill. The Buddha instructed them to practice Satipatthana meditation. The four foundations of mindfulness, the Buddha instructed them to note, to observe, to practice the four foundations of mindfulness in order to see the nature of these sensations with clear comprehension, to have a knowledge. So although we suffered physically, but our mind will not be suffered. through the practice of this Satipatthana meditation. During the Buddha's time, there is one lay devotee, Nakula Pita. He came to visit the Buddha, and he told the Buddha that, Bhante, I'm getting very old. Therefore, I suffered a lot. I have pain here and there. I have no strength. I am very weak. I am not like before. I'm very weak. I have a lot of pain in my body. I suffer a lot. Then the Buddha told him that you have to train yourself. You should train yourself. How to train? You should train yourself that although I am afflicted in the body, but I will not be afflicted in the mind. And this means the physical suffering, sometimes we cannot escape. Everybody will be suffered physically, but mentally, not to be suffered mentally, we can do. We can train ourselves. And that training is the practice of Satipatthana meditation. Through the practice of Satipatthana meditations, we can overcome the sufferings, mental sufferings. But in some occasions, we may be able to overcome the physical suffering too. There are many incidents during the Buddha's time and now also. So many people who are physically ill, they practice Satipatthana meditation and they become able to overcome that the physical suffering they are having. Therefore, in Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said that whenever we have the unpleasant sensations, whenever we experience unpleasant sensations, we have to observe it repeatedly at the moment of occurring. In the Satipatthana practice, when we keep on observing the every arising objects in our mind and body, and we develop insight knowledges stage by stage. Sometimes we experience the pleasant sensations in the practice too, especially when we overcome the unpleasant sensations. And when we reach at the stage of insight knowledge called Udayabhaya Jnana, Taruna Udayabhaya Jnana, the tender arising and passing away, the knowledge of Udayabhaya Jnana, at that time, sometimes we feel many pleasant sensations. Whole body is very light, very pleasant. We may experience various types of rapture, piti, and happiness too. So comfortable. Sometimes we may feel that we are floating floating on the air, not sitting in the cushion. The feeling is very good, very good. So when we experience this type of pleasant sensations, what should we do? We should observe it. Yeah. Unpleasant sensations, because we don't like it, we long for the pleasant. But when we have pleasant sensations, when we experience pleasant feelings, what we do, we attach to it. We forget to note it. We forget to observe it. And we are taking delight on it. So in the course of practice, when we have that type of sukha vedana, the pleasant, comfortable feelings occurred, immediately we should observe it, we should note it with full effort and aiming. If we could not observe it immediately, we become attached to it and we will stop there. We cannot go further. So the pleasant sensations, whether it is physical pleasant sensations or mental pleasant sensations, whenever they occurred, the Buddha said that you should know that pleasant sensation as a pleasant. Just keep on observing that pleasant sensations continuously. In our everyday life also, sometimes we feel we experience the sukha vedana, pleasant sensations, when our desires are fulfilled. When our desires are fulfilled, when we get what we want, when we are successful in our life, we have a pleasant sensations. The Buddha said that pleasant sensations also should be observed, should be noted mindfully. Why we should note these worldly pleasant sensations? Sometimes, because of that success in our life, conceit may arise. Conceit may arise. And we tend to think highly of us, which is the mental defilement. So whether in our daily life or whether in the practice, whenever we have pleasant sensations, we just need to observe it so that the mental defilements will not have a chance to arise. But in the practice, especially in the practice, when you have a pleasant sensations, very good feelings experienced, you might want more of that. You might want more and more pleasant feelings. So that also dependent on sensations, attachment arises, tanha arises, craving arises. And those pleasant sensations are also actually not a permanent one. they are also impermanent. They may disappear after arising. Therefore, we have to observe it so that we come to see, oh, these pleasant feelings are impermanent. They appears, they does not last for long, it disappears. So we come to see these natures. Unpleasant feelings are also impermanent. When we observe it, we come to see it disappears. They are also impermanent, and pleasant feelings are also impermanent. We have to see those characteristics, those natures of pleasant and unpleasant sensations. But there is another feeling, that is neutral feeling, that is not very clear, that is very subtle. Therefore, sometimes this neutral feeling is considered as a pleasant feeling. So whatever feelings, whatever sensations we experience in the practice, we just pay our full attention on that feelings and note it as a feeling or feeling. If the painful feelings, we note it as pain, pain. If the pleasant feelings, we note it as pleasant, pleasant, pleasant. But at the beginning of the practice, you experience the unpleasant sensations most of the time. Therefore, you should not try to escape from it. You try to bear it. You try to tolerate it. You note it with the patience. Just keep on noting again and again. When you have a very painful feelings, when you are experiencing painful feelings, your mind will not run away. I mean, your mind will not be wandering. You may experience that when you have a very painful sensations occurring and you are focusing it, at that time the mind will not run here and there. The noting mind will immediately come back to these painful sensations because it is very obvious. When you are noting rising and falling movement of the abdomen, you see many times the mind wanders, and sometimes you are not aware of that wandering mind. When did this mind wanders? You are not aware. But when you are noting painful sensations, you can see this mind, how the mind behaving, whether it's wandering, if it wanders, how long it wanders. Actually, immediately it comes back to the painful sensations. So in the practice, sometimes having this painful object is very good to have a sustained mindfulness. It's very good. But it is not easy at the beginning. It is not so easy to deal with these painful sensations. So I would just like to encourage you all to pay the full attention whenever you have experienced this dukkha vedana. Just pay full attention as much as you can. If it becomes extremely painful, you cannot stand with it anymore. You cannot bear it anymore, and you really need to change your posture. Here, changing posture means not the big change only, also the small change. Small change means sometimes you want to just straighten up your body. to release the pain. That also the changing posture. Yeah, so if you are just straightening your body to release the body, that also you have to do mindfully. If you are really changing your posture, your legs, you are moving your legs, that also you do mindfully. At least you do not lose your mindfulness. You still have a continuous mindfulness. And do not afraid of pain. Take it as a friend. Take it as a friend. Noting the painful sensations, observe, is very good. So take it as a friend. Just focus on it. Keep on practicing that way so that you will be able to challenge the pain very quickly, and you will progress in the practice very quickly. That's all for today.